Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I have a little bit longer of a video than normal. I'm going to cram in a review and a process video all into one for you guys. A few weeks ago, scrapbook.com reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in trying out some of the new Ranger Letterite line of products. They thought it might be fun to show the Bible journaling world, and since hand lettering is something that's kind of taken off in the Bible journaling world, they thought maybe you guys might be interested in it. Now, some people got into Bible journaling that were already hand lettering, and it kind of goes hand in hand, or as you discovered Bible journaling, you kind of fell into the world of hand lettering. And so there's a whole bunch of different products that kind of make hand lettering fun and easy, and so I thought I would show you everything they sent me. I'm going to give you my honest answer. There are some things that I absolutely love, and there's some things that have some cons, and I'm going to tell you what those are. And then we will do a process in my Bible showing you how to use these products. So again, everything was sent by scrapbook.com, and there's a whole bunch of different products in this range. And some of these things they have had before this Letterite grouping, but they kind of just grouped everything together, marked by Letterite, so you would know what kind of works together. So they sent me everything in the line, and so let me just kind of run through everything really quickly. You've got sets of perfect pearls. If you'll remember, I did a video, I don't know, several months ago showing some mica powder from Stampendous, and it doesn't have a binder in it, and it was an epic fail in my Bible. Perfect Pearls is supposed to be way better because it has a binder. So once you activate this with like water or a sealant spray or even hairspray, it makes this so that it doesn't move off of your page. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to use that today. So you've got two different sets with the Perfect Pearl Sunflower Sparkle. Comes with a little container of Perfect Medium. This is a special little like ink pad of Perfect Medium that is slightly tacky, and so this adheres to that. And then you got a little brush that you can apply the Perfect Pearls with. You've got the Perfect Bronze and the Pewter in this set, again with the Perfect Medium and the brush. I'll have all the products linked down below so you can go check it out and find those over at scrapbook.com. You've got two different sets of medium pens. So these pens are filled with the same type of product that's in the Perfect Medium stamp pads. And this is a little less sticky than embossing powder because they have an embossing ink pad as well. So this is the same product that's in this pad. You can either use embossing powders or Perfect Pearls with these, and they come in a smaller size that has, I believe it has a brush tip and a bullet tip, and then a bigger size that has a brush tip and a bullet tip. So you could go ahead and do some of your own hand lettering and then apply product over it. I'm going to show you how to use those today in my Bible. So those are super great if you're wanting to do your own hand lettering. If you're not comfortable with your own hand lettering, they do have several stamp sets that they came out with. There are 6 different stamp sets, and they have these really fun big words and small words in this hand lettered style. So you could stamp this and then apply Perfect Pearls to it, or embossing powder to it, or regular ink, however you want to use that. So they've got the Greetings stamp set. They have Wedding stamp set. I'm going to use this one today. Thank you. This would be great for some thank you cards, especially now that we're over with Christmas. You might be sending out tons of thank you cards. This would be a great stamp set for that. I love this grateful and the thanks. And so then you can kind of pair these with the smaller phrases there. You have Baby. Celebration has this really fun hooray, woohoo, congrats, and some smaller words there. And then Birthday with this really great celebrate. And then cheers, this would be great for New Year's. So lots of fun, different phrases. If you're not 100% comfortable with your own hand lettering, you could use these and get that same kind of effect. Got the Letterite embossing ink pad. So this is different from the Perfect Medium. This is similar to like the Versamark ink pad that I use. And this is a clear sticky ink that then you can apply embossing powders over. So I will be using this in today's video so we can check that out. They have 2 sets of embossing powders. Ranger has always been one of my favorite brands of embossing powder. I love I think it's liquid platinum. It is gorgeous, gorgeous, and these are just as beautiful. So they have a set of the tinsels. These have glitter in them, and then they have a set that's just no glitter. So this one has a deep blue, so navy, rose gold, gunmetal, and marigold. Really, really pretty and fun colors that you might not already have in your collection. So I love those two little collections there, and I'll be using some of those today. I recently did a Tip Tuesday on inks, and I had a whole bunch of people asking about archival ink. I had held off on talking about archival ink because I knew this package was coming, and so I wanted to kind of address that in this video. So there's two separate sets of mini ink pads. So these are nice and small, and you get 4 different colors in each set. This one's more of your standard black, gray, brown, and blue, and then this is some fun colors in a light blue, green, pink, and kind of a burgundy. This is plum colors, so you have those two options there, and so we will be taking a look at those. Metallic markers, these are so cool. They come in a 5-pack, gold, silver, blue, green, and like a pink, and these are a bullet nibbed metallic marker like that. Oh, let's see if it'll focus. And so you can do some hand lettering with these on some darker cardstocks if you wanted to, or they work on light cardstocks as well, but they're great over darker cardstocks. So that will be fun to try out. Let's see, they do have a stamp block with this line. This is something that you need to have to use clear stamps if you're not familiar. The nice thing about this one is it's huge. It's 4 inches by 3 inches, so it'll fit all of the super large words that are in these stamp sets perfectly. So it's super nice, and it does have kind of a rounded edge. It has grid marks, which makes it nice for lining up your stamps, making sure everything's straight. So that's a great little set to have. And then they also have some cardstock packs that they put out. So you've got an ivory and a gray. We're going to be using the gray today in the process video, and I have a fun little technique I'm going to show you with that. And then they also have a package of different size tags in both the ivory and the gray. So you've got some fun tags that you can practice doing your hand lettering on and incorporating some of these products onto those in your journaling as well. So the big #1 question is going to be, how do all of these products act in your Bible? So let me show you how I tested all that out in my Bible. Okay, so this is my journaling Bible. This is the ESV Crossway single column journaling Bible. Everybody's Bibles are going to react a little bit differently depending on the publisher and the type of paper. So I've found that this is a pretty standard Bible for how things react. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit bummed with these products in my Bible journaling. They are not specifically made for Bible journaling. They just thought it'd be fun to see if that's something the Bible journaling world would be interested in. And I'm going to show you how to deal with the bleed through, but every single product bled through. Even the perfect pearls over the top of perfect medium. This isn't necessarily bleed through, it's more shadowing, but it's pretty dark shadowing. You can see with the metallic pens, if you just write once, it shadows but doesn't bleed, but the second you go over it with any more than 1 layer, it starts to bleed through. These are the archival inks. They are almost as vibrant with the bleed through as they are with the original stamping. So those all bled through. These are the embossing powders, all bled through. So that doesn't mean you can't use them in your Bible. You're just going to want to do some page prepping, and I'm going to do that today and show you how that works. Or if you don't care about bleed through, which I typically don't worry about, then it's fine. You can use these products. Archival ink is nice because it is permanent once it's dry. So you can go over it with water mediums and it won't move, won't shift, and that kind of thing. So that is nice. I didn't test to see if these metallic markers move. It looks like they are moving a little bit. So those metallic markers are not permanent, and this was done over a week ago, so I know it's bone dry. And I am getting some of the like metallic is moving around with that water. So these aren't permanent, but Really, really gorgeous. So these are the different perfect pearls. So you can see you get this really fun shimmer effect there. These are the two different packages of embossing powders. This is the tinsel down here with the glitter, and then these up here with that blue, rose gold, that marigold, and then the kind of grayish color, gunmetal, I think it said. These are the different archival inks. I really love that plum color is really pretty, really, really pretty. That light blue did something really weird, and I don't know if you can see it on camera. It almost has this greasy halo to it. I'm gonna play with it some more and see if that was just a fluke happening, but you can see how the stamping is really blown out compared to this other stamping. I don't know if the ink pad's a dud. I don't know what happened with that, but it was kind of odd how it was greasy. There's kind of a greasy halo. I don't know what's up with that. We'll see when I do over gesso if that changes. But so all the products bleed through, but we'll go ahead and jump into the process video, and we'll see what does better over gesso and see if that cuts down on some of the bleed through. I'm going to be journaling in Genesis chapter 2, kind of verses 23 through 24. I'm going to be doing a little fun journaling, so stay tuned and we'll jump in and do some journaling with the products. All right, so again, we're working in Genesis chapter 2, verses 23 and 24, and this is just going to be an entry just for my husband and my marriage, and so I have a picture that I wanted to enter. Nothing too crazy with the verse, so I'm just going to focus on kind of the process today. So to begin with, I'm using some Art Basics clear gesso and a sponge brush, I guess, and I'm applying 2 pretty thick layers of that. I only did one on camera, but I did of that, and this is going to hopefully help with the bleed through from these products. So for the background, I'm going to be using some Perfect Pearls. So I did dry that really well, but just to be sure, I'm going to coat this page with my EK Success powder tool. And this is just going to kind of prep the page, make sure there's no stickiness, no oil residue, no fingerprints, nothing for that Perfect Pearls to stick to that I don't want it to stick to. So this is just going to make it nice and dry and smooth. And then here I have a stencil that I created using my Silhouette Cameo and some like file dividers, like binder dividers. So if you want a process video on how I do those, I'll link it. Let me know and I'll create one, but you can just use this with any thin stencil. So I went ahead and taped that down. And now I'm taking one of the Perfect Medium ink pads. This is a clear, kind of sticky ink that the Perfect Pearls can stick to, and I am pushing it pretty hard to make sure that that product gets down into the stencil. This may not work as well with a thicker stencil. That's why I like making my own with these like tab dividers, because it's a very thin plastic material, so it's easier to get things down into the stencil. So I'm just pushing it all over, going over several times. It's kind of hard to see because this medium is clear, so it's kind of hard to tell if I got it on there good enough. There were a couple of places I probably could have gone in a little better, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. So I'm just pressing. I have a piece of cardstock behind this to kind of give it some support so I can press a little bit harder. Lift that up. You can see a little bit of the shininess at the top just to see where it's wet, but it is clear, so it's hard to see until you start applying the Perfect Pearls. But this is the Perfect Pearls in pewter, and I'm just picking a little bit up on this brush that's included in the set, and it does not take very much at all. A little goes a very far distance, so I'm just picking up a very, very small amount of the product and then lightly buffing and dusting it over this page. And you can see wherever that perfect medium is that is on the page, it's grabbing a hold and allowing that Perfect Pearls to stick to it. Now this kind of looks like a hot mess right now, but don't worry. It looks bad for a second here before we wipe this off. So you can see down here towards the bottom, I probably could have gotten a little bit more product through the stencil. That's okay. I kind of wanted that ombre confetti effect anyways. and it does still add a lot of shimmer and shine to this page. Now this product, this color in particular is opaque, so anywhere where it's over the text, I am not able to read the text there. So if that bothers you, just keep this technique in the margins of your page or mask off your lettering first, but I'm not too worried about that. I have a lot of other Bibles to read from. So here you can see I'm taking a Swiffer duster. If I had some of the little Swiffer like sweeping pads, it'd work a little nicer, but this worked just fine. Swiffer duster, and that picks up all the excess perfect pearl. And now you can see you've got this fun confetti effect. And then real quick there, that was a mini mister full of water, and I just pretty well doused this page with water, and this is what sets that perfect pearl. It has a binding medium in it, and that binding medium has to be activated with like water or a sealant spray or hairspray, and that's what makes it so that perfect pearl sticks onto the page and won't budge. So now that is permanent and it will not rub off of the page there. And so now we're going to do some heat embossing. So again, I'm going to prep this page with my EK6S powder tool just to remove any fingerprints, any sticky places that might be on the page left over from using the perfect medium. And using the stamp block, and I believe this is the wedding stamp set. Now here I kind of messed up. I meant to stamp Mr. and Mrs., but I got it backwards. It says Mrs. and Mr., but we'll just overlook that. And I'm using the embossing ink to stamp this. Now the difference between the embossing ink and the perfect medium is the embossing ink is a little bit juicier and stickier, and so this will grab a hold of perfect pearls, but it's a little more prone to moving around the juicier, more liquid product. So, but the benefit of that is it holds on to the larger particles of embossing powder. So, I mean, you could kind of get away with one or the other, but the perfect medium works better with perfect pearls, and embossing ink works better with embossing powder. But I'll show you in a minute where I use the perfect medium to do some embossing, and it works just fine. So this is a clear sticky ink, so you can't really see what I'm stamping here, but I'm stamping out Mrs. and Mr. from that stamp set. And I really loved the acrylic block from this line. It was a lot thinner than some of my other blocks, which made it easy to use in my Bible, which I liked. Here I'm applying some of the navy embossing powder, really, really pretty deep blue color here. Now you can see I kind of missed some areas with my stamping. So I'm going to go in with one of the perfect medium pens or embossing pens here and fill in those spots. And I recoated it with powder, and you cannot even tell where there was any blotchiness or missing spots. It's all filled in now. With embossing powder, you do have to heat set this with the heat, and that's what melts the embossing powder until it's clear and shiny. And you can see now, because I have that gesso, it's not bleeding through like it was in the back of my Bible. And so you can see embossing powder is a little bit thicker and has more dimension than the perfect pearls. So here's the photo I'm going to be inserting as a tip-in, and that's kind of what I've used for the inspiration for the colors for this page. And I'm going to mount it on some of the gray cardstock from this line. Now this is a really pretty cardstock on its own, but we're going to jazz it up. So I'm going to show you another way to use perfect pearls. I have a craft mat down on my surface here. I have that mini mister full of water and the perfect pearls in the perfect pearl color. And I'm just going to add a few scoops of this perfect pearls into that mini mister. And we're going to create a shimmer mist. And so you could do this with any of the colors, but I like this just really pretty pearlescent one here. So I'm shaking it up really well. It doesn't take much to get it to dissolve. Because it's so finely milled, it dissolves very, very easily. And now I'm going to spray the heck out of this cardstock. So I'm kind of crazy because I like the texture and the big blobs of color, but you don't have to spray it that much. I'll go ahead and dry it with my heat tool, and now you can see we have this really pretty pearlescent cardstock. And because it was mixed with water, that binder is activated, and so it's permanent. That does not rub off on your hands like it would with glitter paper or something like that, and it just adds this really pretty shine to the cardstock. You could do that, spray it directly onto your Bible page, or any colored cardstock, and just create some really custom cardstocks. Now here is where I'm going to leave some oopses in and kind of show you where I had some difficulties with some of these products. So the Happy Couple stamp, and I'm going to do some embossing on the picture. So I went ahead and prepped the picture with my powder tool. I'm inking the stamp up with the embossing ink. Again, that's that clear sticky ink. And then I'm going to use the bridal tinsel embossing powder. Now, I thought this was more opaque than it is, but it is not. It's actually a clear embossing powder with some really pretty sparkle to it, but it is translucent. So I applied that on there, heated up and melted it, and I could not see it over some of the lighter areas of the photo, and it was a little bit splotchy, and so I was like, ugh, what am I going to do? So I decided to go ahead and try stamping it a second time right over the top. My head kind of glazed, so I edited that out, but I did go ahead and stamp it right over the top. Applied that same powder again to see if I could kind of build up the opacity. The nice thing about using acrylic stamps is that they're clear, so you can go ahead and line them up and double stamp things very easily because the stamp is clear and because your acrylic block is clear. So I went ahead and heat set that again, and it still was not opaque enough, so we're going to try something different. So I'm going to go over this with my with my powder tool to take away any residue that might be on there. And then we're going to ink this up with embossing ink a third time. If I was to do this again, I probably would have used the Perfect Medium because I am going to go in with Perfect Pearls, and that embossing ink was a little bit juicy, so I had to be very careful as I was applying these Perfect Pearls. The Perfect Pearls in the Perfect Pearl color is a little bit more opaque than the embossing powder, so I just tapped that over, and that added some opacity to that stamping, and so now I can see it over the top of the lighter areas of this photo. So I'm just going to lightly brush that. Now the problem is I did print this photo using my inkjet printer, so I cannot set that Perfect Pearls with water, and so I'm not quite sure how well. I just kind of have to see. It is what it is. I was already in and needed to fix it somehow, so that's how I fixed it. So I went ahead and mounted that with some adhesive runner, and I'll go ahead and trim off the excess so I have kind of a border of that shimmery cardstock. And this is going to create like a little tip-up flap, and I can do my journaling underneath that flap. So I'm going to kind of line it up where I want it, and we're going to do some more lettering here. So my hand lettering is horrible, so I went ahead and printed off this phrase, forever and always, using some fonts that I have on my computer. This one in particular, the scripty font is Starlight, and that is a font that really works well with the hand-lettered fonts in the Letter It collection. It is a paid-for font, so I will link that down below. But if you're looking for free fonts, I'll link 2 websites down below that have free fonts for you to check out as well. So I went ahead and prep that again with my powder tool. And now I'm going to go over and trace this using one of the embossing pens. So again, this is filled with the Perfect Medium. It is clear, so you can't really see it. But I worked fairly quickly, that way it would stay wet long enough for me to get the embossing powder on. Now I'm using rose gold. This is very, very pretty, but it does leave some residue on the page, which kind of concerned me. You can see there's this kind of pink orange halo of color around this, and I kind of panicked thinking it was going to be a bad deal, but I went ahead and just heat set it anyways to see what would happen. It's so finely dusted on there, I had to go in with a paintbrush and brush it away. It just had completely coated that corner, but once it was cool, I went over it again with that Swiffer duster, and it picked up all that dust. I think that worked as well as it did only because I had prepped the page with my EK Success powder tool first. So there was a little bit of a barrier between the embossing powder and my page, and that made it so I could brush off that excess powder that I want there. But just heads up, you may have some issues with that color in particular. But once it brushed off, it is so, so gorgeous. It really matches some of the colors that's in that photo. So I went ahead and adhered that photo so it would flip up at the top there. I did a date stamp using the cobalt blue archival ink, and you can see here nothing bled through because I had prepped the page with that gesso. So if you are going to use these products in your Bible, be sure to prep with gesso. I loved everything that I used. I think they are so gorgeous. I hope you'll go check them out. I'll have everything linked down below. Another thank you to scrapbook.com for sending me these products to try out. I really love them. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and were inspired, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.